made up of 4 companies, and we had an area of operation. Usually in that area of operation were 2 what we called landing zones, or hilltops or mountains. That's where the big guns were, the 155s that would cover you in that area. Helicopters would come in for food replacements and et cetera, et cetera. And so one company would pull bunker guard on one of these 2 landing zones, and the other 2 companies would be in the field. And then they would rotate on a basis anywhere from 10 days to 2 weeks. You'd be down in the field, then you'd come up to one of the landing zones, pull bunker guard, from there, and just continue that rotation, so on. So we're on LZ Siberia, one of our landing zones, when there's a general call that comes up that we're on now 24-hour alert. Obviously, as a private, I didn't know why we were on 24-hour alert, except something was going on out there that made so. So eventually afterwards, it wasn't until afterwards, until we did some research and writing the book, but afterwards it was that there was a big movement by the NVA, the North Vietnamese Army, down into our area called Hep Duc. And there was a movement by us and the Marines who were pushing them down. We were kind of the retaining force here, not to go any further. So they had a whole regiment that was coming down from North Vietnam and into our area. So now we're on 24-hour alert when one of our sister companies, Bravo Company, was in the field, got hit. And so they got hit there in a firefight, and so they got gun support coming in, and artillery covering their area as well. And so we were now taken off the hill down into the valley, and we were to get them out of that hot spot. Well, by the time we get to them, it's late at night, it's darkness. Most of the fighting had stopped, and our responsibility was to pull front and rear security for who was left of that unit. And there were about 5 fallen soldiers that had died. And so we were to carry them out as well. We wanted to get them out of that area before the enemy before they could find that location and then really bombard them. So that was our responsibility. So on the way out, we ran into a quick firefight. The word was to leave the bodies. We'll come back and pick them up. And that was our mission 2 days later, as on August 20th, as we're coming in, and it was about 8 o'clock in the morning. We were humping the hills since the break of dawn, trying to find our location, coming onto an open rice paddy. And as we're moving out of that open rice paddy, it was a reinforced platoon. I was 8th in line carrying my grenade launcher. Word was to keep 5 yards distance between one another. Your eyes and your ears open, your head on a swivel. As we well know, the enemy, they're around. Our point man, unfortunately, was relatively new. And as a human being in this excitement, lost sense of his responsibility. He saw movement across the berm, and he hollered, "Gook, gook." Shots broke the stillness. They started to run. He started to chase them, pulling everybody out into the middle of the rice paddy, when all of a sudden the machine gun starts to level the area. The bodies obviously were diving left and right into the rice paddies that we were walking on the berms. I jumped into the rice paddy in front of me, crawled my hands and knees to the end of it, found another one lying below us. 4 guys were pinned down out in the open. Now my responsibility, as I had saying, was to get some firepower. I saw the machine gun up on the hillside, about 150 meters away, and I rolled over my side, breached my grenade when I felt a thud in my left leg. It started to burn and bled. That's when I was hit for the first time that day. discharged my round, got behind some protection, got enough firepower to at least keep their heads down, and the 4 guys that were pinned down got out of there. And then eventually we crawled back to our commanding officer, and the rest of the platoon came crawling in. I think we left 4 or 5 guys in that rice paddy, and set up another defensive position. They probed our perimeter, and they got close enough to throw a hand grenade. And all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I see this hand grenade coming end over end over end, and it hits my commanding officer.
The captain, yeah.
The captain, right in the middle of the back. I mean, he's lying prone, overlooking the berm, and it's right in the middle of the back, and it bounces off of him, and it rolls between my feet, and before I can jump out of the way, and I was right next to him. I was only about 3 feet from him, and it blows up through my right foot, and knee, and thigh, and again, we're another firefight until the platoon fought its way down and dragged us out of there.
And dragged out. It took, and literally and figuratively dragged out. You went in there, as you said, on an extract to try to rescue Company B, get wounded, get dead out of there. Now you're in a much worse situation and outnumbered by about 100 in terms of what the odds were in this situation. It was pretty daunting to be exposed and be outnumbered to such a degree.
That's right. So somehow, so we set up our, we were there waiting for the platoon or whatever to find out what we were, and all of a sudden there was a barrage of gunfire taking place on our position after I got hit, and I thought, man, they're going to overrun us, whatever it might be, and for some reason, all of a sudden, it stopped.